Hey, what is up, everybody? Coach Chad here, the CEO of the Next Level Coaching Academy. And we got another Fit CEO podcast for you. And here's my question. All right, here's my question. So you want to grow a big online fitness coaching business. All right. Maybe you look up to a number of individuals and they have a big business, right? They have a lot of staff members, they make a lot of money, and it looks amazing. They got the car, they got the house, they got the penthouse, whatever it may be. You're like, shit, I want that thing. And as a result of seeing them achieve that thing, you want that thing. And that is now what you are striving. All right. That's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to challenge that viewpoint. Right. My question is, so you want a big business? I'm going to challenge that viewpoint as somebody who has a bigger business in this space and somebody who is striving to have a bigger business in this space. All right. This is what I want to achieve. However, I think there are a lot of individuals in this space who say that's what they want to achieve, and then they go after it and they create something that they are absolutely miserable with, and then they end up reverting back. All right. So I'm hoping that this podcast can prevent that for some individuals deciding if you want a bigger business, and then motivate and reassure the individuals that are trying to build a bigger business. All right. And I can say that once again, as somebody who is trying to build a bigger business, is I needed that reassurance too, right? As a result of following a lot of individuals who have bigger businesses, I've noticed that a lot of things that I believe are aligned with these individuals. Therefore, I know and can feel certain in my pursuit to grow something bigger. All right. So I'm trying to help out individuals who may be on this path, who maybe don't actually really want to be on this path, decide, hey, this isn't for me, and then create something different, something that's more aligned with what they're trying to achieve. And I'm trying to create reassurance for the individuals who want to be on this path. All right. So how I'm going to do this is, as an individual who has a bigger business, I'm going to go through 5 things that I personally wish. All right. So 5 things that I personally wish somebody told me before I decided to grow a bigger business as things to consider. All right. So when I say bigger business, our business does multiple 7 figures. We have 35 staff members, and we are aiming to have a multiple 8-figure company. All right. That's our pursuit. That's what we're trying to accomplish. All right. So I can speak from a place of experience here. All right. Before I go into those 5 things, to consider, I also want to talk about why I'm trying to build the biggest business possible. All right. So there's really 2 reasons why I'm trying to build the biggest business possible. And the first one is I'm not intending to sound cocky in any way, or I'm not intending to sound like I'm like the best thing since sliced bread. But something that I've noticed is I have a specific set of beliefs about the world that I personally, once again, this is a personal perspective, that I personally think that the world is lacking. All right. Initiative is one. Honesty and transparency is another. Selflessness is another. Our 3 company tenets: act first, truth first, and mission first. All right. Act first is take initiative, right? If you have a goal, go after it. Even if there is challenges, even if you have doubt, even if you have fear, go after it. All right. I feel like the world is lacking that right now, right? We have a lot of individuals who are scared and they sit on their hands and they sit on the sideline and they do nothing, right? They don't have the guts to go after what they truly want. And I think if this world had more of that, we'd be in a lot better place. All right. Secondly, is truth first. All right. So truth first is all about transparency. It's all about honesty. It's all about doing the right thing. All right. I think this goes without saying that there is a lot, or a big lack of transparency and honesty inside of this world right now. All right. The third thing that I believe, especially in a business context, is you have to be selfless. All right. You're not in business just for yourself. You're in business for the people that you serve and the people that help you serve those people. All right. So these are my 3 beliefs, and these are things that I think that the world needs more of. And I know if I grow a larger scale business and I push these values into my staff and I push these values into our clients, that will have its impact on the world, whatever, size impact that may be. But I believe the bigger I can make this business, the more I could push those values into the world. And I think that is a worthwhile pursuit. Okay. The second reason why I'm trying to grow the biggest business possible is I find the most happiness from challenging myself, and I want to see how far I can go. All right. Anything that I've done 100% all in, I try to be the best possible person that I can be in that venture. All right. It's been multiple things throughout my life, but really three notable ones. When I was a kid, it was lacrosse. How good could I be at lacrosse? How far can I take it? All right. I've never been the most talented individual at anything, but I've always been one of the hardest working. All right. And my consistent pursuit to fitness and the skill of lacrosse, I was a lacrosse goalie, got me to be a Division III athlete. All right. The second thing was CrossFit. All right. I devoted to CrossFit. I had the goal of being the best CrossFit person that I could possibly be. All right, where did that land me? I got to go to the Granite Games, which is one of the qualifying events to the CrossFit Games. All right, now it's been business. I'm constantly trying to challenge myself to see how good of an entrepreneur I really am and how far I can take this thing. All right, and that's where I find my happiness, and that's something that I've noticed about myself for the past however many years at this point. I started playing lacrosse at a young age, like 8 or 10 years old. And that's always been my goal. So I know this about myself to be true, that I'm happy when I'm pursuing something and really pushing myself. All right. So those are the two reasons why I'm trying to grow the biggest business possible. Okay. So maybe you're starting to get some insights here on like, okay, do I think like an individual that wants to accomplish this? Do I not think like an individual that wants to accomplish this? All right, now we're going to get into those 5 things. All right, so these are the 5 things that I wish somebody told me before I decided to grow the biggest business possible. Not that any of these 5 things would have changed my perspective, but I feel as though these are the 5 things that would have made me consider or think about it. All right, so hopefully you guys find value in this. So the first one here is the time requirement that it takes to actually grow the biggest business possible. All right, so I wrote the one note that I wrote here is you often hear the more people you hire, the more time you get back. And I have found this to not be true at all. All right, and here's why. It's just what you spend time on as you hire more people changes. All right, in the beginning, you're doing all the front end work. Right? Then you hire people. Now you're doing all the management work. Then you hire managers. Now you're doing all the leadership work, right? So it's not that when you hire people, you're buying back time. It's that when you hire people, what you focus on changes. I still work the same amount of hours now than I did when I was one of the frontline workers in the company. And that's about 80 hours a week, 6 days a week. All right. So I wish somebody told me the time requirement before this pursuit. I would have still said yes because I'm a psychopath, but hopefully this is helpful for you. Now, one caveat to that is I would say this to be true. There is a threshold here. All right. So if you hire a certain amount of people, there's a place where you can stop at that hiring inflection point. And yes, you probably can actually buy back your time and have a lot more freedom. But if you break past that inflection point, you're just creating more things that you have to manage, therefore more time that you have to put in. If I had to give my best guess on what that inflection point would be, is hiring people to do your sales, so people to get the leads and people to take the calls, hiring people to do the coaching, all right, and then hiring people to do the admin. All right, so then you manage the sales, you manage the admin, and you manage the coaching. And then at that point, you could just focus on management and then also marketing. So I would say this is a team of maybe like 5 to 8 people. I would say that's probably the appropriate size to buy back your time to focus on your lifestyle. All right, but going past that point, you're committing to growing a big business. All right, we're still on number 1 here, which is the time requirement. So coupled with the time requirement is there's a ton of sacrifices that come with this decision of growing the biggest business possible. Less time with friends. All right, my friend group is small. I have a lot of individuals that I care about. I have a lot of individuals that I spend time with, but I'm not spending daily with them. I'm not texting my friends daily. All right. There's many times where I go weeks, sometimes months without seeing a particular friend. I know we love each other. I know we're there for each other. I know we support each other, but it's not a traditional friendship like you may think, right? Traditional friendship is you hang out with the same people every weekend. Maybe you have group chats, you're texting all the time. That's just not my reality. All right. So less time with friends, less time on fitness goals. All right. My fitness has been a roller coaster ride. All right. There's been times where I've been very lean. There's been times where I haven't been as lean. There's times where I'm consistently going to the gym. There's times where I'm not consistently going to the gym. All right. So my fitness, although it is still something that I try to get done every day, is definitely not my top priority. All right. I don't have any hobbies outside of business. My life is really consists of business, going to the gym with the time that I have, and spending the rest of that time with my wife. All right. And less time with family as well. All right. So you have to make a lot of sacrifices to give the necessary time to grow the business to where you want it to be. All right. The second thing here that I wrote down. All right. So the first one was the time requirement. The second thing that I wish somebody told me was your ability to take on risk. All right. The note I wrote down here is the bigger your team, the more risk, the more payments that you're responsible for, and the more people's income that you're responsible for as well. So the more people you hire, the more risk you take on, because now you have to create income for these individuals and still have enough left over for yourself. All right. So there's a lot of risk that you have to take on. This year alone, I've had to take out $130,000 from my personal savings to put into payroll. All right. There's been 2 times this year where we were going to be short on payroll. And the only way that we were going to be able to make the payroll was if I took money out of my own personal savings and put it into the business. All right. That's the kind of risk that you have to be willing to take. All right. In addition to that, I let go my business partner in 2022. I let go of my business partner. That was a huge risk. It was one that I had to swallow, and it was one that I had to be willing to take. All right. And then the last note that I wrote down here, there's many examples of risky scenarios that I've taken on, but I'm just thinking of ones that have happened most recently. This one happened last week. Our business credit card got $60,000 of fraudulent charges on it from somebody who hacked my Facebook account and used the card to buy Facebook ads for their Facebook account. All right. And they charged $60,000 in fraudulent charges. And as of right now, Chase is telling me, Chase is my credit card, they don't have enough information to overturn the fraudulent charges, which is absolute BS. That's a different story. We're going to solve it. Don't worry. But just reiterating my point here, that's the level of risk that you have to be willing to take. All right. So number 2 is your ability to take on risk. Number 3, your ability to not take any credit and be okay with it. All right. So that's the third thing. If you're going to grow the biggest business possible, you better not have an ego, because guess what? You're not going to take any of the credit. All right. This is a thankless, lonely pursuit if you want to grow the biggest business possible. All right. When you have a bigger team, in order to be a good leader, you have to give all the credit away. All right. Something good happens. You tell somebody, you say, hey, that's all on you. Awesome job. You fucking crushed it. Something terrible happens. You take all the blame. Hey, this is 100% my fault. All on me. I'll take the blame here. Right. So you give away all the credit and you take away all the blame. And it is truly a thankless, lonely job. All right. There is, and I love my team. I really do. There is not many thank yous that I receive. All right. There's not too many thank yous that I receive. And if you're a team member and you're listening to this, I really don't want you to take this the wrong way. I'm not asking for more thank yous. I'm just trying to convey a point to the individuals listening. All right. So if you are trying to grow the biggest business possible, you have to be okay with this being a thankless job. And as a result of it being thankless, it can also feel very lonely. All right. So you have to be okay with that as well. All right. So that was point number 3. All right. So we're going into point number 4 here. All right. So if you want to grow the biggest business possible, you have to have a desire to be a leader. All right. Because if you're growing the biggest business possible, you are not going to be a day-to-day, you're not working in your business really day-to-day. All right. You have to offload all of the duties and the management so that you can focus on leading the company to where it needs to go. All right. So you have to have a desire to be a leader. You have to be somebody who has a vision. You have to be somebody who's very sure in their values. You have to be somebody that has guts, right? That can make hard decisions, that can make hard decisions and not let it crumble you, right? Like firing somebody or demoting somebody or completely cutting out a project or making a hard money decision, right? You have to have the guts to be able to do that and not have it completely derail you. All right. You have to be able to take the weight of the world on your shoulders. You also have to be selfless, right? Like I said before, you're not going to take the credit. You got to be selfless. You got to be able to make hard decisions. And in addition to that, there is always somebody who's chasing you. There's always somebody who's trying to eat your lunch. There's always somebody who is trying to take your spot in line. So you have to stay informed. You have to stay educated. You have to stay sharp, and you have to stay relevant. All right. Overall, point number 4, you have to have a desire to be a leader and everything that comes with having that title of leader as well. All right. Being leader doesn't mean that, you have the captain on your chest, you have the C on your chest, and you just get to be like, kick your feet up and be like, you guys all do this shit. That's not what a leader is. All right. A leader is somebody who actually works the hardest in their company and who sets the tone and sets the example and sets the pace. All right. So you got to be willing to treat the job like that. You got to take the job seriously. All right. The last thing that I wrote down here is, if you're going to grow a big business, you have to have a desire to want to work with people and to want to deal with people, because the bigger the vision, right? The bigger you want your company, the more people are going to have to get involved. And that is a fact. All right. You are not going to grow something that is absolutely massive with little people in your company. And when I say little people, I'm not talking about their size. I'm talking about the amount of people that you have in your company. You need to have a substantial amount of people in your company if you're going to be successful. With that, people are imperfect, right? So there's going to be egos, there's going to be drama, there's going to be shit that happens all the time, and fires that you have to put out, and you have to be okay with that. All right. And you have to be okay with that. The bigger, the more and more, and the bigger the business is. All right, y'all. So those are the 5 things. Those are the 5 things that I wish somebody told me before I committed to growing a bigger business. I am still committed to growing a bigger business. This is the pursuit that I am taking, but I want you to really sit with these questions and think about, and check yourself, ask yourself, is this what I truly want? All right. If it is not what you truly want, then scale down, right? Grow a smaller business, have a smaller business, maybe be a solopreneur, right? Define how many people you want involved in your mission. Do you want it to be just you? Do you want it to be a small team, right? Either or is totally fine. All right. But do what is right for you. All right. If you listen to this and you're like, Chad, I want to test myself. Everything you said, I'm okay with, and I'm willing to accept that responsibility to see if I can get the job done, then by all means, good luck and welcome to the hardest thing of your entire life. And I promise you, this will be the hardest thing of your life. And not just hard, like there are things that will happen in your life that are very hard, but this is a daily commitment. This is an art, right? You have to wake up every day and you have to go to battle, and you have to be okay with that. And you have to be not okay with that. You have to be excited about it. And if that's you, fuck yeah. Welcome to the team. I'm excited to see what you could do. All right, y'all. That's it for today's podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.